Let me see. Maybe it's different when he resets it? I'm not sure. Chat still... Okay, speed test seems to be working again. Is it gonna put me back with the same person? Okay, wait, where's the other... Yeah, lower it? Okay. Okay, let me say, pop out the chat. Okay, here we go. Seems to be working now after they reset it. It looks like it dropped a little bit. Temporary fix, but we can try. Now, I didn't reset it after I unplugged it from the wireless, so maybe that's a thing. Alright, let me try playing a game on League, and if it works, then we'll do Jolty's replay. Or we could start off tomorrow with Jolty's replay, maybe. I don't have a ton of time left, though, because I have to grade these essays. It's probably going to take me like 10 hours or something to finish grading these. Reset is the same from both of our systems, however, sometimes due to signal interruption, the signal reset are not fully received by the modem. Okay. Okay. It's possible they throttle me because of the service that I use. That's also something that's been thrown out there. So now that I've kind of made it known that, you know, I'm like not to throttle me late at night. Maybe they will. I doubt it, but maybe they could just like maybe they just click a box and say, you know, don't throttle this guy. He's onto us. I don't know. To be fair, everyone I've ever talked to at Comcast since we've been having kind of these issues, because like when I was first trying to connect my router and try to get my internet connected for like a week, there were some problems. Then they've all been very nice. Let me see his last thing that he's typing up here. So maybe that's it. Maybe they just... I doubt that it's like a throttle at this time of day. Unless they throttle specific types of services. But it's like, even when I'm not streaming though, like I've done it where I've turned off the streaming services and it still is like really low. Irelia? Okay, I'm just gonna get rid of Kazakhstan. Yeah, we'll just go with Nami again here.
I decide what the tide will bring.
Do these people know what's going on here? Let me see. That last game was totally winnable, and that's really frustrating. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and head out off of that then. Okay. Well, I mean, they're not a pain, like... Look, I understand the internet's very complicated and weird stuff happens. So, you know, I know it's hard, like, sometimes for ISPs to get everything figured out. And I think they're doing the best they can, honestly, as far as, like, I can tell. My interactions with them have always been very pleasant, and, you know, they try. And a lot of these people, you know, they're not, like, super experts about the internet most of the time. They're just doing the best they can. Like, there's so many different problems that can, like, influence performance. Okay, so this guy is... Alright, playing Ezreal. Yasuo is pretty good. Alright, we'll play it. I mean, that is true, Matt, but part of that is also because it's very complicated. You know, like, the speed can slow down, not necessarily because of them, although it could be. It could be equipment, you know, like your equipment could be faulty. Maybe, maybe you've got a bunch of, like, viruses on your computer that are soaking up a bunch of speeds and things like that. So it's like, it's kind of difficult to prove why it's not performing up to its expectations. So I'm not like a super ISP apologist. Like, I get frustrated too. when internet stuff is down, but I just also try to think that, like, it's really difficult to, because nobody really understands the internet hardly and how it actually works. Very, very few people understand it, and so there's just so much frustration, I think, from everyone involved because nobody understands exactly why they're, like, not getting optimal service. I mean, I've been trying to figure this. I've done a lot of research over the last, like, you know, 4 or 5 days since this has been going on, and I've been trying to figure out what the deal is, and I can't figure it out either. I mean, I wish I could just snap my fingers, the internet, like, automatically works, but it's tough. Yeah, Scott, but, like, New Zealand is also, like, super small, you know, compared to the United States. I mean, that's part of it, is, like, the infrastructure itself is so difficult in the US for a lot of reasons because it's huge, and a lot of it's pretty rural, like in the middle especially. So you've got all these ISPs. I mean, could they be doing stuff better? Probably. But, like, there are, like, smaller countries like New Zealand and, like, some of these European countries, like, I don't know, like Sweden or something, that where it's just a lot easier to try to deal with that, you know? It depends on the situation, Erickson. I mean, that's going to slow Nidalee's start quite a bit, because she had to go all the way back and heal. I come to the lane with low health, though. We got her flash, also. Jesus. Dude. Taking too much damage, bro. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they're honestly trying to do what they can as much as possible, you know. I think there are, like, it's just so easy to paint ISPs as, like, this grand, like, nameless, faceless villain, when in fact, like, it's just a collection of people trying to do their job, you know? Like, they want to keep their customers. They don't want to make people mad. It's just really hard to do that sometimes. And I think they're, like, some of the most hated companies because no one understands, like, exactly how the internet works. And they just think that ISPs can just wave a magic wand and fix anything and everything, you know? So once again, I don't exactly know. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but I just don't think it makes any sense from a business model to try to be like a ruthless, mean company that doesn't care about their customers. I mean, like, if you're a monopoly, but there are, like, more options. Maybe not than ever, but there are lots of good options in some areas, not everywhere, but I don't know. I just feel like it's real easy just to say they're evil. Especially when I don't understand exactly what's going on. Bounces are annoying. Okay, well, I mean, maybe that's true, Fab. I don't know for sure. I mean, there is kind of the old adage as well, like, you'll work just as hard as you need to type of thing. My personal interactions with them have been pretty good. I don't know, I feel like at least in my area, I feel like they do have competition. Like, a lot of people in my area could get Spectrum, Comcast, AT&T, WoW, Wide Open West, and like several other just sort of like lower grade kind of wonky ones. Snidely's getting fed. I mean, I know it's not everywhere, but yeah, I don't know. Go for a control ward. I don't know about Dark Harvest on Lee. I guess he's got one. Well, the problem is it's not just as easy as snap your fingers and make it competitive, because it's like a hardwired system, right? Like, you have to control the lines. Like, you have to, like, physically build out the infrastructure. And, like, to some extent, it's not really fair if someone like Comcast, for example, spends billions of dollars to build all of this infrastructure and wires, and then everyone else gets to use that for free to create competition for them. Really, the wires themselves, but I feel like the wires themselves maybe should be built by the government or something, because that's kind of seems like the only fair way to do it. And then, like, the companies can use the wires to compete. I don't know exactly how they do it, but that's what makes it tough, is that some of these, especially old guard companies, built the entire network. Now, they may have gotten subsidies from the government, too. I don't know exactly, but that's what makes it difficult, is it's not like you're just opening a lemonade stand. Like, anyone can just make the lemonade. It's like you have to have all this physical stuff that gets built and maintained. And some of the bigger players are the ones that built that. I mean, maybe DH is good. I just feel like, okay. They may have gotten subsidies. Like I said, I don't have the whole thing researched. I don't know about it. I just know that it's really complicated. And then I don't know a ton about it. They're also losing a lot of money. I mean, that's not, like, a reason, but, like, because everyone's switching over to the internet rather than cable companies, or, like, rather than TV, I should say, then they are losing a large chunk of their income as well. So they have to figure out ways to, like, save costs to account for that. I mean, at the end of the day, they are a business. I mean, it is, like, arguable whether that, like, the internet should be a government utility that's regulated as such, like electric companies. I think there could be a decent argument for that. But once again, I would just have to research because I don't know enough about the situation. Eating so many, like, so much damage. Whoa, 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 whoa. Why would he go in on that? It's hard to find relatively unbiased information, too. There are some places, obviously, where you could get that. She's so fed. Who fed her? Like, everybody, I guess. Really? He burned out from red buff?
I will see my home again.
Why is Riot making so little changes? Well, it's only been one patch so far. I think there's a lot of changes. I mean, I think the tower changes are, like, huge. I think the Dark Harvest changes really change the meta a lot and are huge, especially in the bot lane. I mean, like, nobody played... I mean, some people played Zyra and Brand, but certainly not Lux, Vel'Koz, and that kind of garbage. Like, but that's actually become a thing that people are playing bot lane because of the Dark Harvest. Arthas is a thing, like, I think it's shaken up quite a bit. I mean, yeah, you still have the same overpowered champs that are still near the top, right? You've got your Irelias, your Aatrox, your Kali's, your LeBlancs. So that's a thing, and I think that's what they're going to start nerfing on the next patch, like that's coming out in a couple of days. But I do think that they made some meaningful changes before that. With the tower changes especially, I think are a pretty big deal. So I do think they have made some changes, but... oh, okay, well... I think that Kha'Zix has become a lot more powerful because of Dark Harvest. Obviously, Karthus has. Well, we don't know exactly what they're going to change. I mean, there's some from Surrender at 20. But this is going to be a two-part patch. So, that's what they're calling it. 7.24a and 7.24b. So they're covering some stuff. And then they're going to cover some more stuff after that. We might get dove by Nidalee here. I mean, Nidalee's probably here. Catch him? Damn it. I'm getting desperate just because we're so far behind. That was a super risky play, but...
An ally has been slain.
There's always...
Well, it's a lot of cost. I don't know. It's complicated, I think. Like, it's not just free, you know, to upgrade everything to 5G or whatever. Upgrade to, fiber everywhere. Especially in such a large place as the United States. I mean, if you're doing, like, fiber across the whole country in Switzerland, it's like, okay. It's like, just like we could do fiber everywhere, you know, in, like... New Jersey. But, like, when you're trying to cover the third largest country in the world, or maybe the fourth, depending. I'm not sure about China. And it's just more difficult. I don't know what their deals are with, like, other content providers either, so, like, how much they owe to Disney... and ESPN and all those people for running content on their channel, or like how much it costs to upgrade from 3G to 4G and then 4G to 5G. How much it costs to be able to like support like 4K on everything. So everybody just wants everything for free. They want everything to just have 4K, perfect connection at all times. You know, all of their favorite shows. Telephone home service, which they probably lose money on.
An ally has been slain.
And now, like, nobody gets their internet or their television anymore. I feel like, at least a lot of the younger generation does, and I consider myself a younger generation person. But even a lot of people like in their 30s now don't even have TV. Like, just kind of like 40s and 50s and up. I mean. Some people do, but, like, that's a big part of their business. Probably. You know, I don't know. Maybe it does just have to become a utility that we just subsidize. If like if it's not something that's profitable like on its own, I don't know.
Swim against the current.
Well, the thing is, like, we're talking about ISPs, I think, and the problem is, like, a lot of phone providers are also becoming ISPs. Like, AT&T and Verizon are becoming huge ISPs, especially in the fiber space. Yeah, of course South Korea, because it's a small country. Like, size matters. Like, I don't think it's fair to compare, like, the infrastructure in the United States to somewhere like, you know, South Korea or New Zealand or something, because it's just a lot smaller. Now, if you could tell me every single place in the European Union is all run and they all have perfect, like, internet connections, maybe there's an argument for that. Because I think Europe is about the size of the United States. But I'll guarantee you there are probably some, like, rough spots in Europe. I'm not saying it can't be done better. I think that it can be. I just think that a lot of, like... I just think it's really complicated. And that they aren't necessarily, like... All the ISPs are just, like, evil, you know, blood-sucking vampires and things like that. They are also publicly traded companies, which means they have to make money, you know? They're not
On the way.
things that don't have to make money. We're all gonna die. I don't know. I'm trying here. But we're gonna die. Like, I knew that was risky to chase all the way down there, but we just need something. Well, I don't know how you would do that. Like, the only way, like, divide them into monopolistic and not. Because they're gonna find, like, if you come up with a set of rules like that, they're gonna find ways to get around those rules. Legally, probably. I think the better way is, like, you try to provide either... But then, I don't know, like, that's the thing. It's like, okay, if, like, this little town in Oklahoma only has one ISP... Now that ISP has to, like, have competition, well, you're gonna have to, like, let that ISP use, or let the new ISP use all of the lines for the previous one,
I still hear the sound.
at an extremely reduced price. It's probably gonna cost a lot more tax money to make that work anyways. It's just tough because we're dealing with, like, physical, you know, infrastructure. It's not like a, like it's Microsoft versus Apple or something from the 2000s. Which is really one of the major reasons Apple, like, was able to come online, which, I mean, so that story ended kind of well. But Microsoft pretty much got screwed back then. Because they had to, like, create a competitor with Apple. They had to split up their company in many ways. I don't know. I do think it was, like, questionable to allow things like Time Warner to merge with Spectrum. But, like, the space is not very profitable right now. I would say a lot of these companies, if they could be in some other business, they probably would be. They're just kind of stuck because they're already so heavily invested. It's like something nobody wants to do, but that needs to be done. ISPs are kind of like trash collectors or something right now, you know? Like, somebody's got to do that job. But a lot of people, if you were asking them growing up, hey, do you want to be a trash collector? A lot of people probably like, no. Like, that's just where they ended up. And so I feel like that's kind of where ISPs are right now. It's like, it's becoming less and less profitable all the time because of all the infrastructure upgrades that are necessary. And we just got destroyed this time. Microsoft is doing well, but Apple's doing way better. I mean, I'm not saying that didn't need to happen. Like, sometimes, obviously, breaking up monopolies can be a good thing. It's just like... It can be complicated. I mean, you know, like I said, I could see a regulated utility. If it's an industry that's just not going to be that profitable, like electricity or something like that, it should probably be a utility. Something that everybody needs. Trash, I don't know if they make boatloads of money. I think trash collectors probably make pretty decent money because no one wants to do it. I'm not doing Lichbane Sona. I don't think it's a zero-sum game, though, because people are consuming more internet than ever. I think that's increasing. It's not like there's just a set number of people that are using a set amount of internet, and they're just, like, passing it around to different ISPs. That's what a zero-sum game would mean. It would mean that there's, like, no increase or decrease in supply and demand, which I don't think is true. I think there's a finite amount of resources, like wiring and efficiency you can get, so that's maybe zero-sum, but the demand is definitely rising a lot. With everybody wanting to stream everything on 4K, and just like everyone having multiple devices. Like my wife will be like messing around on her phone, watching something on her iPad, and watching something on the TV at the same time. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much it would affect being a regulated utility, because there's a lot of like inefficiencies and bureaucracies too, just like there are in large monopolistic corporations. I mean, if the government runs everything, then that is also a that's very similar to being a monopoly. In some circumstances, it might even be worse because they aren't beholden to shareholders, which a lot of people think that's bad. It's like shareholders force companies to make money. It's like, yeah, but they force them to be efficient too. You know, like governments aren't beholden to shareholders, and so they can be as wildly inefficient as they want and just charge more taxes. Not to say that some things don't need to be government regulated. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not like an expert in like business and efficiency and things like that. We'll probably just do Nami again here.
I decide what the tide will bring.
Oh, you said it's not a zero-sum game. Okay, then I agree with you. I must have read that wrong. It's late at night. Not a zero-sum game. Okay, yeah, my bad. I see that not there now. That's right, Ricky. Everyone's trying to stream me. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that capitalism's all bad, but I think that there are definitely, like, problems. I think that ISPs are a major part, potentially, of the problem, but I don't think it's necessarily just them. I think it's unrealistic expectations from a lot of people about what they can actually do, what they can't do. Healthcare is another one. Healthcare, education, and, like, those are the two huge ones, but I think ISP, like, that situation is getting kind of rough, too. 49% on your one trick. That's not good. Gerald's okay on Ezreal. Against Draven. This guy's gonna get blasted top lane. Does G-Stir play that champ? No, he's auto-filled. He's against, like, Yasuo. Dao is okay on Lee, not great. We're gonna get obliterated bot lane. I think I'm just gonna dodge this. I think we're gonna get beat at every roll. Yeah, but I think there is competition in a lot of places, not everywhere. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, But I don't know why they made that money though, or like what their margins are. So like the argument is sometimes made about Walmart. I'm not sure it's the exact same as Comcast because I don't know their business model. But like people will say, well, Walmart makes billions of dollars. I'm not saying this is what you're saying, but I'm just saying like sometimes how it's hard to understand some of these things is like people will be like, well, Walmart, earns all this money. Why can't they pay their employees $15 an hour across the board? It's like, well, their profit margins are probably like 1% or something like that. And so if they increase their costs by 1%, they don't make any money. So it's basically like they're making a penny on every transaction or something like that. That's really oversimplified, but it's something similar to that, right? Like you make, billions of transactions, you're making a penny off of each one. Eventually you end up with billions of dollars. But if you increase your overhead by just 1 penny, then you would make zero money. So if everything costs 1 penny more, if everything costs 1% more, they would be bankrupt. And so it's not just as easy as like, well, you're making billions, so just pay everybody more. It's because that would increase their costs a lot. And because their margins are so slim, then they can't do it. Now, if it's something like a chip maker, if it's like Intel or something like that maybe has like a 60% profit margin, yeah, then there's a conversation for giving out raises because they make a lot of money off of each individual thing they sell. So then they can afford to raise prices or raise like their costs a little bit through labor. So I'm not sure about Comcast or why they made that money. It could have been better advertising deals. It could have been better infrastructure. We don't know what their debt is either, though. Usually cable companies have a lot of debt, and so we don't know how much debt they're servicing. So it's like, yeah, they could have made 15 billion, but they could have also like, invested 50 billion 5 years ago to improve their like infrastructure, and they, haven't been making much money for a while, and now they're finally making more money because of, an investment they made a long time ago. Well, that is a thing, Wings. But that's sort of what I'm talking about, is they can't improve their margins. It's like, yeah, you could bring the money down off the leadership, but at the same time, in terms of that, like, you need good leadership to run a complicated company like Walmart, and I don't know what the going market rate is for good leadership, but if all these other companies are willing to pay the CEO $20 million, if there's like 6 other companies that would be willing to pay them that's his market value. If they're not doing a good job, they'll fire them. That's not always the case. There are corrupt CEOs that get paid too much, but at the same time, like, those people are worth a lot of money because it's very rare to find somebody. Grabs giant purple something from Saints Row. I don't know. I mean, there is always the philosophical kind of Marxist question, right? Is the CEO who's hanging out in his office, answering calls all day, is he really working harder than the guy who's like loading boxes on the truck for 12 hours a day or something like that? Does that CEO deserve that much more money? It's like, well, I don't know. I mean, you can debate that with English majors and philosophy majors all day if you want. But at the end of the day, people are willing to pay him that because companies want those kind of people. And it seems to be a very high demand of skill set that there's not a lot of competition for, because there's not a lot of like good CEOs. If they could get away with paying their CEO, $100,000 a year, they would do it. But the problem is you can't attract key talent to a huge multinational corporation like that for that kind of price. Now, I agree, Fab. I think, I'm just kind of like trying to take the other side. I don't completely agree with everything that I'm saying. I'm just trying to say like what's possible. Because I don't know. But I'm just trying to like think about what are some reasons that the issue could be complicated. But I definitely take your stance too, where it's like, okay, you've got the standard narrative of, you know, people are just going to do just as much as they need to without doing more. And that's kind of, you know, that's what a lot of companies want to do is, you know, they want to have the lowest costs and the highest margins possible for shareholders. And don't forget, everyone says, oh, these evil shareholders. A lot of those are pension funds. Those are people's retirement, you know, 401ks and things like that. Like, a lot of people own stock. Especially like middle class America owns stock. So it's not like these evil Walmart shareholders. I mean, a lot of those people are just going to be Joe and Jane that work at the, you know, local office of sorts that, you know, have been working there for 30 years and don't know anything about Walmart and what they're doing. They just have a 401k. So they can retire and not, like, starve to death when they turn 65. So that's the thing, is, like, not everyone is, like, an evil, like, guy in a, like, Wall Street fat cat in a suit, you know, doing backdoor deals, trying to, like, beat down the little guy. A lot of it's just, like, people that just have some stocks from their 401k or whatever that they don't even know what's going on. But it's crucial for them to retire. And that creates jobs, too. Potentially, not always. Not always, but, like, if a company's doing very well, you know, that they might want to open another factory. They might want to expand their business model. That's not always true. Sometimes they just give that money back to shareholders, which can be just Joe and Jane. But it could create jobs, too. It's just really complicated. It depends a lot on, like, certain companies and what they're doing. And there are definitely unethical companies out there, but I think that it's just... I'm not saying, obviously I'm not saying that Fab is doing this, but I think there's definitely a movement out there that just thinks that anyone that, like, is trying to make money is, like, evil. There's a lot of that in English departments. I can tell you that right now. There's a lot of that in grad schools. Not just English departments, but in all sorts of grad schools. There is a marked, like, distaste for capitalism. Yeah. But, I'm just trying to see the other side of it. That there is a lot of opportunities for prosperity, and it does get spread around through stocks. Now, obviously, you know, people that are just working at the local Kroger or something, bagging groceries or something, you know, it may not, you know, they're not probably going to have a lot of stocks. I'm definitely not getting this guy Kaisa, because Kaisa is absolute trash right now, unless he is like 80% on Kaisa. But at the same time, he may not have that job, you know. If Kroger wasn't doing well, they might close that store. I mean, look at what happened, like Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, things like that. Those companies didn't make money. They closed all their stores. A lot of people lost their jobs. I mean, this guy's pretty good on Kaisa. He's pretty bad on everything else. I guess I'll get him Kaisa. Alright, we'll ban Irelia.
Tyrant.
That is a problem with universities, for sure. Really don't like seeing Teemo. Is this guy good on Teemo? He's actually pretty good on Teemo. Okay. Alright, that's fine.
Are you the hunter or the prey?
So yeah, I mean, it's complicated. So I just try to, you know, create a good conversation. Like I said, I'm not an expert about a lot of these things, but I have thought about them a decent chunk. I've had students write about them before. I myself spent a couple of years really studying, kind of investing and things like that when I wasn't in grad school, when I was just kind of chilling just for fun. I thought about becoming a financial advisor. I had a buddy that was in that, and he was telling me I could make a lot of money, a lot more than I do now doing that, like financial sales, but... What is this? How do I have a Kaisa skin? I must have just, like, got one out of a box or something.
I decide what the tide will bring.
Okay. Alright, he's pretty good on Akali, Kaisa. Gotta get Kayn. No, he got Kha'Zix. Good on Kha'Zix? Question mark. Similar playstyle to Kayn, sort of? I guess we'll play it. What's up, Spring Jack? There is some luck, but at the same time, you can kind of make your luck, too. There is some, you know, just being in the right place at the right time. There is some, but at the same time, I think it's definitely something that, to some extent, can be learnable and can be teachable, some business elements. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you just find the right investors that'll back you for this idea, and it's just like the perfect moment to have this idea. So there is that. But being able to read markets and figure out what they need and where you can fit in and things like that is also really important. People are probably paid more than they're actually worth most of the time, relative to some things out there, but... Oh yeah, definitely. Like, rhetoric and communication skills are massive. And that's something that I teach to students all the time. Is it's like, it's not... Like, what you say is important, but how you say it's even more important. Huge. And you could have... I mean, that's why sales matter so much, and, like, salespeople get paid a lot. More money equals more stress. Depends. You can do a lot of things with money. Sociopathic markers. I haven't read that, but I could see that. I mean, you have to be willing to work a lot. It depends on the company and the corporate infrastructure too, but yeah, I mean, you have to be willing to work a lot, and you have to be pretty cutthroat.
Minions have spawned.
I think that's probably true, Fab, for sure. But, you know, once again, I think defining luck is difficult, you know, because you could say, oh, well, they just got lucky, they came up with this one, like, invention at this one specific time, you know? But it's like, but they may have done a lot of background research and, like, understood that's what the market needed at that time, or, like, that there would be a market for that. But yeah, I mean, some of it definitely is. But you can't really plan around, like, actual pure luck that much, so I don't think it's really worth considering from kind of a pragmatist standpoint. You know, if it's something that you can't really control, then there's not really much point in thinking about it, I think. Or, like, wasting a lot of, like, mental energy on it. Except for, like, risk, obviously. Like, you want to assess risk, but risk is something you can control. So it's difficult to come up with something that's, like, absolutely beyond your control, you know? Or beyond somebody's control, that they didn't have, like, at least something leading up to the success or failure of whatever it is. Lucian is such a terror. You really need to nerf that guy. So oppressive early.
There's always another wave.
I mean, it depends on who you are. Some people are very happy with having a lot of money. I would say that's not like... It's not guaranteed if you have money you'll be happy, but... I think there are a lot of things that are money related to contribute to why people aren't happy. You know, if you live in a really crappy conditions and don't have food, don't have an education, all that stuff, like, you're probably not going to be that happy. Money can buy some of those things, but it won't fully buy your happiness. Because some things, you know, like friendship and self-esteem and things like that are difficult to purchase. Really gonna burn out there? Why can't we just nerf Lucian? Like, I don't... I'm so sick of that champion. Like, I want to ban him every game, but I need to ban Irelia too.
People and their air.
I don't think physics is luck. I think physics is measurable. Physics is like anti-luck. Unless we're talking about maybe quantum physics. I mean, a lot of happiness is just managing your expectations. What I think. Want to get down to it, but... It's just dumb that Lucian, like, with 0 items... Can like almost 100 to 0 somebody with a combo early on, when like every other AD carry like can't do that. Maybe Jhin can do a decent chunk of damage, but Lucian scales way better. I don't know. I mean, Jhin does scale pretty well too, but like I think Lucian's damage is just out of line. Like they need to nerf his Q again, or his double shot to where it does less damage. Like, he just shouldn't do astronomically more than every other AD carry without any items. And scale. Like, it should be one or the other. I guess that's what we're getting. Fairy charms. I can't afford anything else. Oh, I agree with that, Fab. I mean, I think a lot of times what people call luck is probability.
Sure as the
I mean, worth and deserves are difficult concepts, because at the end it really doesn't matter that much. It's like, if someone's paying them that, then that's what they're paying. That's what their market value is.
Sure as the tides.
She is up a lot of CS, which is really nice. I really wish I didn't die there. Like, they just flash and burst me so hard early. Always winning. Teemo's kind of about even.
There's always another wave.
Jesus. Wow, they got a kill out of that? Damn, I couldn't W him fast enough. I didn't realize I needed to, because Lucian does such heavy burst!
Ride on the wave. I'll find my path. Quit flopping around.
I believe in destiny. I mean, I don't know.
Where are the tides?
I guess that's a no. If you don't say yes immediately. I mean, it's possible. This Lucian's pretty good at dodging stuff. It's hard to get through all those shields. I tried to body block. Wait. Whoa, what? God. Ugh. I should have just flashed it. I tried to W, but I should have just flashed it. If I flashed it, I could have lived. I just couldn't decide what I wanted to do, because the W has a cast animation and it's too slow by the time he's there. Should have just flashed. Not having a good game. When did Lucian become strong? I mean, a lot of it was, yeah, when they nerfed crit really heavily. That's when he became a lot better. They buffed Blather and King also, and they buffed his, I think they buffed his Q several times. They, like, made it scale with level. I think they increased the percentage damage that you got off of it, and, like, they increased the base damage on it. But yeah, most of it was when they nerfed crit a lot, and so he's been very good ever since that.
Ride upon the waves.
Dark, no, she has Aerie. Are you asking me what do I think about Dark Harvest Sona? I don't think Dark Harvest Sona is probably that good. I would rather have Aerie. Ice is just so bad right now. I mean, I know this dude's like a Kaisa one-trick, but like, I don't know. If you get to 2 or 3 items, you can win. It's just like Lucian specifically is such a hard matchup for her. You kind of have to have Jhin to match Lucian, or you're just gonna get blown up. I thought Kha'Zix might come over here, but I don't know where Lee and Pyke are. Okay, they're middle.
An ally has been slain.
He had ult. What?
An enemy has been slain.
I just that dude anymore. Get zoned off everything now. We can't really fight him. Maybe if Kha'Zix gets a couple of kills. Who keeps spam ping? Is that? It's got to be her, right? So like no way we can ever fight him, pretty much.
There's always another wave.
Yeah, Jax is murdering this Teemo. I don't know, maybe I should have dodged this. It's like the old case of like, they have better like team comp, but we have experience on our champs. I thought they might go for the kill there with the Sona ult. What do I think about Pyke mid? I don't know. I haven't seen it enough. I don't think it's that great, but maybe it is. Man, I think it's got a good win percentage. I just haven't seen it a lot. I think he could definitely get bullied early on. Like, if you're ahead, it probably feels really good. If you're behind, it probably feels terrible. I'm Divus.
Ew, whale.
Oh, they both died? Okay, yeah, we're gone. Alright, that's probably it for this one. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, if you make good dodges, and you're gonna go up. Yeah, but, hey, what's up, OP? Yeah, but stalling is not a good, not a good answer in the current meta. Like bad champion in lane that can stall for late is bad right now. Most of the time. It doesn't just save time and frustration. I mean, I have a whole video guide on dodging if people want to watch it. It's like complete guide to dodging. But it does give you, ultimately, you do end up gaining points if you dodge correctly.
Shut down.
Quit flopping around.
Who do we even win off of? Teemo's like the only person with kills. We can't ever fight Lucian. I guess we just... Okay, well, she tried to flash ult me.
My people are counting on me. I still hear the song of the sea. People and their errors.
Should have waited on one more. I'm not used to like the new health thresholds.
My people are counting on me.
All of the camps. Jax is fed as hell too.
I will see my home again.
Nah, I shouldn't have gone Sona.
My quest is ended.
Okay, maybe we can win off of a Kali.
I'll find my path. Sure as the
Oh, team didn't need a tank. This comp's fine. We just got outplayed. Tanks are really bad right now.
sure as the tides.
And their team doesn't have a tank either. They're winning hard. Are you kidding me right now? I guess I should have put a control word there. I thought I swept that. Maybe not.
Your turret has been destroyed. Has been slain.
We've won a couple of, I mean,
Destroyed a turret.
it's unlikely we win this, but we did win a couple of skirmishes there. Dude, what is Gift of the Drowned One? How does that do damage? That must be from Dustblade or something.
Enemy double kill.
He's so far ahead.
Double kill.
I don't think tanks are that good in any elo right now. Maybe like in Challenger, but
There's always another way.
I mean, Nautilus is okay. The problem is tanks don't put out any pressure on the lane, and you really want to try to get those turret platings if you can.
Quit flopping around.
I mean, like, you can win with tanks. It's just very risky. Like, if you get camped, which is still, like, bottom is the most popular lane to camp, because it's the best lane to camp. And you try to engage as Leona or something like that, or Alistar, like, it's going to be real rough.
Quest beckons.
Maybe if you have Lucian or something. I mean, if you have, like, ways to actually kill them in lane early, maybe you can run those things if you have, like, Lucian or Draven. Wait, what? Oh, Teemo is, like, really low. Okay. Definitely not unbenching the Kench. Last time I did that, then we went like 0-10. It wasn't that bad, but it felt that bad. Like, Tom Kench is completely 100% worthless right now. Much as I love him, like, not his. It's not his time to shine.
Ally has been slain.
Yeah, does have too much power. We can't outsplit Jax. We're not gonna be able to pick either of these guys off, probably. They're so mobile and they do so much damage. I just get evaporated if anyone even looks at me.
Ew. Well,
Yeah, I don't think win rates really matter that much unless you have like 50 games on a champ. Maybe 20, I don't know.
Your turret has been destroyed.
Enough to get some trolls and feeders on your team. A few times to balance out those stats.
An ally has been slain.
I have to go bottom, I guess. Oh, it certainly feels OP right now. this Pike, but also because we're getting stomped. I mean, part of the thing with a lot of these champs is like they can feel really strong when you're ahead, but then if you're behind, they feel totally worthless. Oh, okay. Yeah, I figured you were. I was just throwing that in there. Getting obliterated. Assassins are just always... That is always rough. For like, everything that's good right now with support is, like, bad into assassins. It's like, you need to be strong in the lane, but everything that's, like, strong in the lane also feels like it's pretty bad against assassins. Like, Rakan is probably my favorite anti-assassin champ. But then you can also do things like Nautilus. A lot of the tanks are good against assassins, but they just get bulldozed in lane against a lot of these other champs, so... Well, he's just really far ahead. Like, with that build, he can get evaporated. Oh, God. We're just not going to have the power to deal with Jax, probably. No, we're just too far behind. Nah, if you take exhaust, you're gonna lose the lane though. A lot of the time. Damn it. Alright, I'll play one more. Well, it's not just picking for yourself, it's like understanding that there aren't going to be highly coordinated engages in like a 5v5. And so, like, in 5v5s, in solo queue. And so it's very dangerous to play tanks. They also don't apply any pressure to lane, like, to towers most of the time, and they're very susceptible to ganks. And that's, like, what bot lane is right now, is it's mostly apply pressure to towers, don't die to ganks, in theory. You know, Rakan is probably the best engage. Now, he's not a proper tank, but I think he's the best engage because he's so safe also. Like, maybe something like Thresh, who's defensive and offensive, but doesn't apply a lot to towers, and he gets, like, just bulldozed by Sona and Nami, and, like, Zyra, Brand. I don't think... No, we would have gotten annihilated in lane. We already didn't do very well in lane, but against, like, Lucian, Sona, with Kai'Sa on our team, I mean, we would have been down 50 CS. At least with Nami, in theory, for a little while there, I was able to trade back some. They did get that flash, like, all in on me early, which was the problem. Because Lucian just does insane amounts of burst early on. I mean... Like, in his single item power split, like, the only person, maybe, like, Draven or, Jhin. But Lucian's also mobile, so he can dodge stuff like Thresh hooks, Blitz hooks, you know, Xayah plants. Whereas, like, at least Jhin and Draven, like, you can get a hold of them a lot easier early on. That's extra AD? Oh, the second shot dealing that. Okay, so it's like 150%. So basically, he gets a free, like, 100% crit chance that applies on hit effects. At level 1. You get 150% damage. I guess a crit's 200% though, not 150%. So he gets like a little mini crit. You're like, his level 1 deals 85 from Piercing Light, plus 60% of your bonus AD. So it's probably getting close to like 90 or 95 damage on the base. And you get an extra 50% physical damage. So really, like, this applies like 90 plus, are you gonna have like 80 early or something like that? 90 plus 40, that's 130 damage effectively on this. And this has no cooldown. So it's like one ability early on that does like, you know, somewhere close to 140, 150 damage on a spell. It doesn't have a cooldown on the passives. You can trigger it multiple times. I guess let's get rid of Kha'Zix. So you get like 140 base damage level 1 off of this. If you hit them with this, like level 2, if you get 2 double shots off, that's an additional, you know, 85 plus what, like this, an extra 140. So that's 280 damage. Not including your base auto attack damage, which comes in on this too. So if your autos are dealing like 75 each, 75 or 80 each, that's what, 280 plus 150? That's 430 damage. Just off of Q auto, W auto. People start with like 550 health. So you're talking like 2 abilities are doing, I mean, yeah, they're going to have armor, it's going to get reduced some, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, it's going to be doing over half their health off of 2 abilities with no item, like just your base item on Lucian. And that's part of what makes him so disgusting. Even his dash does extra damage. I know there's leeway, but, like, obviously, I'm just showing you, like, base numbers. His base numbers are too high. Like, that's what it is. Like, the only people that are even close are, like, Jhin and Draven. I still don't think they put up the same kind of numbers. Like, that quickly. And the thing, too, is, like, even if they do put up those numbers, it's like they don't have the same kind of mobility that he has early on. I really hate Brand versus Zyra, but I guess we'll do Zyra.
Feel the thorns embrace.
I mean, I guess we'll play it. I don't know. I might get demoted off this one. We'll see. And this will have to be it for the stream. It looks like it's pretty much been resolved. There was like there were a couple of drop frames, but otherwise it looks pretty good. I mean, anybody that plays against Lucian knows that. Like, oh my god, that's like way more damage than most other 80 carries. And he has really high mobility, so it's hard to hit him with bubbles, roots, hooks. He does have short range. I mean, he's supposedly balanced, you know, around having, like, I think he has 500 range. He might have 525 range. So that's supposedly how they balance him. But people don't, like, abuse range enough. I mean, he's even played in, like, pro games. where range should matter the most. He's like probably the most picked AD carry right now in challenger level games. It's not right now too, so we're thinking about changing that, but we haven't changed it yet. So for this week, it'll still be Sunday. Rakan is good in all metas. Like, I still think he's okay now, but this is one of the worst metas for him because laning matters so much, and he doesn't use Dark Harvest, and Dark Harvest does such an absurd amount of damage. Hey, what's up, Kuba? Coming out. This is one of the worst metas because you just can't get away with getting obliterated in lane right now as Rakan. Once they nerf Dark Harvest next patch, it'll probably be a little bit better, but Rakan's really best in like a tank meta. Or just a meta where you can get out of the laning phase now. Well, Karthus bottom's actually really good, in theory. I think Tower 1 played it. I mean, I talked about it in my 80 carry list before the patch even came out. Or like the day it came out or something. I mean, I think it's not hard to spot that Karthus was going to be really good in the bot lane.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Things aren't always what they seem. A promising garden.
Minions
I don't think it's ruined ADCs and mages. Lucian's still extremely oppressive bot lane. I think that Lucian, Jhin, and Draven are all very good right now.
So much more.
People might say, well, why aren't there other 80 carries that are meta? It's like, well, in a crit meta, you know, we had basically you could play Caitlyn or Tristana for like a half a year. That's just how 80 carry always works. It's like there's always a certain type of 80 carry that's going to be better than others, almost always. Right now, it's early game, like, caster 80 carries, because crit's so bad. Yeah, I mean, Rakan's good. Like, I still win with him a decent chunk, but it depends on the matchup. I certainly wouldn't want to play him into Jhin Brand. Like, if you get someone, if the enemy team's playing Kai'Sa, like Kai'Sa, Janna or something like that, then yeah, you can probably play Rakan. But I think he's definitely taken a step down from where he was even just last patch. Before the Dark Harvest nerfs, like the last patch of the season, Rakan was very good. And we'll see, like after they nerf Dark Harvest, you know, in the next couple of patches, he'll probably still be good. He'll definitely get a little bit better. I just wish his Q, like, they would revert some of those Q changes, but they're not going to do that, where it was, like, on a lower cooldown.
None will escape my
Okay, there's Pantheon. Please don't give him kills. Give him kills. Oh, what? It didn't trigger the Dark Harvest? I saw it hit him, I thought. Dang it. Really wanted that Dark Harvest stack.
just a hunt.
Callista is fun, but yeah, she's pretty bad. I mean, I could see some love towards Callista. I think they need to buff the hyperscalers a little bit more, like the Kog'Maws, the Varuses, maybe. The Callista's not really a hyperscaler, but Callista's difficult to balance because she's so weird. I would say make Blather and King stronger. That would help out a lot of AD carries, but you'd have to nerf Lucian pretty hard with it. If you're going to do that. How is he healed up so much? Oh, he missed it. He missed everything. Well, that's probably game. I really hope I don't get demoted off of that.
An enemy has been slain.
A promising garden.
An ally has been slain.
You still get extra range on the Zyrecon, you still get the recall, and you still do get extra damage off the W, just not as much as you used to. We're getting destroyed. It's everywhere. I just, you know, the on-attack 80 carries would be a lot stronger if tanks were good, though. Maybe they don't need to buff those. Just make tanks viable. Like, bring Sejuani back. Bring Ornn back. And then there's actually a reason. You know, if Jhin can't blow up Sejuani in one hit like he can every other jungler right now, he gets a lot worse early game. Lucian's decent into tanks, so it doesn't quite fix the Lucian problem, but... Wait, what? Was he typing something? I don't know. The old 4-man bot. People just think tanks aren't as fun because you can't kill them and there's not as much mechanics, but like having tanks as being something viable in the ecosystem enables other things. Like it makes tank shredders viable. It makes the auto attack 80 carries viable. You know, there's a reason why you might need Kai'Sa or Jinx, you know, if they have a 5-item Mundo that can't be killed by anything else. You know, it makes enchanters more viable. It makes control mages more viable. It makes team fighting champions more viable. But now the Orianna can be better, or the, you know, Anivia, the sustained damage dealers, the Rises, the Cassiopeias. It's like, that's a huge part of the ecosystem that's been missing, and right now it's just like, who has the best single hit, like who has the most damage that can one-shot people, while also having the most mobility, and that's pretty much it. And I'm dead. This is why I hate playing Zyra right now. Although, like, the game is just so decided by the jungler, I feel like, right now. It's just like, if the jungler camps your lane, it's so hard to do anything. Because a lot of the best, like, you have to have tough laners right now. So it seems. But a lot of the tough laners are very vulnerable to ganks, and they keep taking away vision with a lot of the changes. I don't know, it's a very tough conundrum.
The forest holds.
Well, they ruined the control mages by not having tanks. Like, I think the root problem is just tanks aren't viable right now. Tanks aren't a threat. People can comfortably, you know, first pick Kha'Zix every game. They can first pick Pantheon or Talon every game, you know. no problem, because they're not going to get countered by a tank. Because everyone cried about tanks for so long. Tanks are no fun. I hate tank metas. They're boring. It's like, well, we can't do 1-3-1 lanes. The lanes aren't broken yet. And we're going to lose 1-3-1 hard. Because they have double global with Pantheon and Rise. So they can rotate way faster than we can. It does just feel like super snowbally and just like, whose jungler is going to camp? I don't know. That's part of what I like about Nami, is in theory you can position and be safer, but... But like with Karthus, like he doesn't benefit from Ardent Sensor at all. And so it's like, it's... Well, that's about all I can do. I could have flashed and ignited the brand earlier, I guess. I didn't have my ult. I got ult in the middle of that fight. That would have been a glorious time to ult, but... I mean, we do have Karthus. Like, it's possible we can just scale through him. It's gonna be really hard. Oh, sarcasm. Okay. Sorry, it's hard to read sarcasm on the internet, because that is actually, like, a way that you can get out of some losing situations. Yeah, you can't pick a tank, though, Beta Man, because you're going to get obliterated in lane. By the types of laners that are happening. Because, like, the problem is, you need to be proactive and aggressive in lane, because you need to be trying to play for plates. You need to be causing map pressure. You know, you need to be trying to get priority for scuttles, get priority for dragons. Get those plates off the tower. Get that snowball going. Tanks don't do that most of the time. But at the same time, like, you're vulnerable to ganks from the jungler if you're playing something aggressive like Zyra. Yeah, you can't, like, if you try to play Nautilus or something and they have, like, Brand Jhin, you're going to get obliterated early on. Like, unless you have Lucian or Draven and you're a legitimate threat to one-shot kill him early on. Like, it has to be, like, you hook Brand and he dies before he casts his spells, if you're going to play something like that. I mean, my Nautilus win rate dropped from, like, between 55 and 60% to, like, between 45 and 50% on this patch. Well, yeah, people are going to play tanks in high elo because it's much more coordinated. Like, you can play Braum and Challenger to an extent because, like, your team, like, because you're not going to be facing a mid laner that's, like, 10-0. You know, at 15 minutes. And people are actually going to be able to, like, play your lane appropriately. That's always been the case, though. Like, tanks are always much better in higher elo than they are in lower elo. But, like, especially right now, just because you can get bullied so hard in lane. That might change in a couple of days when Dark Harvest gets nerfed. I mean, we'll see. I would not have a 20... Babu, I'm not going to go to, like, a 70% win rate because I don't look at the chat. It's part of being a streamer, man. Like, people probably like the stream because I actually talk and try to answer questions and have a conversation with people. I mean, it's just... You're going to give up some elo if you're trying to run an interactive stream. That's all there is to it. But, like, 20% is insanely high. Like, I might win, like, 3% more, which is fine, but I'd rather be a little bit lower and have, like, a better chat. Hey, what's up, Amanda? How big is Dark Harvest taking? Pretty big. I mean, we'll have to see the final numbers. They're talking about not just number stuff. They're saying, like, maybe it won't have resets. Maybe it won't trigger off of items anymore. These have all been things they've floated on the PvE, so we'll see. I think the number is going to go from 40 base to 20 base. And so the number is definitely going down, but that's doable. But, like, if they change the resets or if they change, like, how it procs, that could dramatically influence how strong it is. I mean, so yeah, Babu's right. Like, if I just did not interact with the chat at all, I'd probably do better in the laning phase. But to be honest, I don't think a lot of these games are from a high lack of focus in the laning phase. I mean, some of them, sure, but I think there's a lot of other problems too with, like, sort of what's going on. I feel like every lane's lost every game that we played pretty much tonight. We did have a chance to win that first game.
An ally has been slain.
A promising garden.
Your turret has been destroyed.
Well, another thing that's hurting tanks is, like, most of the really, like, there are too many tank busters right now. Like, the items are bad, but there are so many champions that are so good against tanks. Like, Aatrox, Irelia, just, like, every new champion is good against tanks. Or, like, every rework feels like it's good against tanks, you know? So I'll see if I don't know if I can even catch that guy. Maybe I can, like, one-shot somebody if they rotate here. I don't have Ignite, but
An ally has been slain.
I don't think Ori's inting. I think she's just having a bad game. Why is he pinging me? I didn't have plants.
So much more to see.
I mean, like, once they nerf Irelia, like, actually nerf Irelia, Aatrox, they are nerfing Camille a little bit next patch, too. They're reworking Ornn. I mean, I think they know it's a problem. The problem is it's not just tanks, like I said. It disrupts an entire ecosystem. Like, it makes enchanters a lot weaker. It makes control mages a lot weaker. It makes team fighters a lot weaker. Like, it just destroys entire classes of champs when there's no tanks. And you can't have team fights, really. Makes things like Cassiopeia and Azir a lot weaker. Hey, what's up, Devious? Yeah, the internet shut down earlier, and then I talked to my ISP and, like, troubleshot it, and they did something that seems to have fixed it for now. But yeah, we were offline for probably about 30 minutes. Maybe not that long, maybe about 20 minutes while we try to get that fixed. Whoa, he didn't die? Okay, Karthus got him though, right? Whoa, what? How did... I mean, Karthus is getting kind of strong. Like, we can potentially come back, even though we had a really rough laning phase. We do have a very good 5v5. I mean, I think there's a time and a place for assassins. I just think there should be legitimate counters to him. Other than play a better assassin. This might be warded. I think they get vision. Yeah, they get vision when they bust one of those things. Karthus does have ult, okay. Damn it. Ugh! They had that warded. I was going for the E. I thought he was going to run this way. I didn't want to run out of range. I should have just popped the Q plant faster. Do I go for the flat pin or do I go for the void? Brand has a lot of magic resist. I think I'll just go for this, I guess.
Venture off the beaten path.
Immediate power spike. What tier is... Skarner's not very good in the jungle right now. He does have CC, which is good. But you just get bullied hard early, which is sort of what we've been seeing. What we saw in the early game. Garen might be coming up here. I just want to keep playing, man. I love playing League, hanging out with you guys in here in the chat, but I gotta go grade these essays. I mean, I love teaching the classes. It's like grading the essays, though. That comes as part of the job, but it is fun. I do get to learn a lot about things when I grade them. I don't know. I much prefer just actually like lecturing and teaching students and just talking about their ideas rather than sitting down and grading their essays. But like that does help them some. I think there's a debate about how much like putting a grade on an essay actually helps someone perform. I think that having the conversation and just their process of writing it helps. I mean, getting feedback on their ideas is important, but I'm skeptical of grades. But, like, that, you know, you have to have that to evaluate, like, the worth of a degree. But, like, it really doesn't say that much. There's such rampant grade inflation anyways. I think that if you're a company, like, I would want people to explain more about, like, have students write a more detailed sort of cover letter about what they've learned and why they're going to be useful to the company, but... like, write up either, like, an essay about why they'll be useful or just, like, a report. If it's, like, business or something. Like, what are going to be your contributions and things like that. I think that's a much better way to discover value potential employees. Damn it, why am I not rotating? Go, 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 go. I thought I clicked it. I think sometimes when I, like, ping, it just stops me from moving. It feels weird. There's a lot of sums to blow there, but I knew we'd get a couple of kills. Oh my god, they're really gonna do this? Karthus can stop them, I think. He ulted, right? Yeah. So they should be low. I mean, GP does have ult also. They have Ori also. I mean, we're going to get an inhibitor off of this, most likely. Yeah. We have so much AoE. Rise moves so fast, I kind of had to run. Alright. Yeah, so that was kind of rough. I mean, we got a lot. I didn't realize all three of them had backed that fast. I thought they were all either dead or were still over here trying to contest that Baron. But we did get, like, 2 towers and some change, and we basically went about even in kills. They may have been +1 or 2 there, but...
A promising garden. Things aren't always what they seem.
Damn it, why didn't the plant... Ugh, that's annoying.
Take
Where are they gonna go? They're probably gonna go either bottom or top. I don't think they're gonna be over here yet. We have to give them that dragon. Why is Garen so tanky? Alright, well, we did clear away a lot of their Baron off of that. Yeah, Pantheon and Rise are alive. I have to just get control wards until I can get the full Void Staff. He dead? Okay, no, he's not dead. They're going over here, though. I don't know about that. That might have been a waste. Whoa, what? She didn't ult, did she? Like, no one's doing any damage. I'm not playing Zac. Getting destroyed. Why can nobody kill this? Like, nobody does any damage. Favorite champ, but like, I'm trying to win. I mean, I know I don't always do a great job of that, but I do have a donation feature. If you ever want to see me play a game, you can donate $10 and I'll play any champion you want, any role. Tonight, this is probably going to be the last game, but like any night that you want, just a $10 donation, I'll play Zac support, Zac jungle, Zac mid, you know, whatever you want to see in a normal game. You just want to see some, you know, footage and some commentary on it, I'm more than happy to do that for you, but I can't just play everybody's favorite champion every game, you know? Especially if it's something that's really far off meta where I'm probably going to lose a lot of elo trying to do it. Either because it's not like the strongest in a given situation, or because maybe I'm just not that good on it. My ult just came off cooldown. It was still enough to zone him, I think. Did Garen die? Still running around. Do it. Are we fighting these guys? Shit. Like, Garen is such a brain-dead champion. Why is he this strong? I'm not that good. Okay, man. Sure. I mean, hey, look, I know you might be Challenger, Zach, or whatever support, and that's fine. If I just can't, you know, be as good as you, I'm sorry. Sorry I can't keep up. I guess... Alright, I'm gonna play one more. God, I hate going out on losses. That's one of my big weaknesses as a player. No, he's not. I think what he was saying is, like, he was agreeing with me that maybe I'm just not good enough on Zach to win, you know, in a platinum game, which is true. Instead of just, like, you're not good in general. It's hard to interpret sometimes. Okay, yeah, we can interpret that. See you, buddy. That's pretty clear. I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt with interpreting what you said there, but... Like... I think originally what he was saying was... like he said, he was agreeing with me that maybe I'm not good enough to win with Zach in, like, you know, Platinum 2, which is true, because when you handicap yourself by playing a champion that's really far off meta, like, you have to be from a much higher elo to do it, a lot of times. Or have, like, thousands of games of experience on it. So that is probably true. Rather than saying I wasn't, like, good in general. That's a generous reading of what he said before, and I think that's what he meant, because he said, like, you said it. He said, for Zach, you said it. So, like, that's, you know, that's how I interpreted it. Once he clarified. Originally, I interpreted it the same way as you. He's just kind of taunting. And then after that, I was like, you know, what he says is, I think maybe that's true, and he wasn't trying to be mean about it. He was just being accurate. But of course, once you go over the line and start talking that kind of nonsense he was talking before, you obviously know you're going to get banned at that point, so... Like, I hate banning people, but yeah, you can't have that kind of stuff going on in chat. I was trying to keep him around. I was trying to interpret it as best we can, but, you know, it's obviously only one interpretation of the last thing that he said. So... I really want to ban Lucian, but... For something like that, yeah, it's a permanent ban. Unless he emails me and, like, apologizes or explains. Hard to explain that one away, but yeah. I mean, sometimes I reinstate people if they email me and, you know, clarify that they were having a bad day or that they were really drunk and said some things they shouldn't have said and they apologized or something like that, you know. So occasionally we reinstate some people like that. I will say that it rarely ends up working out when we do that. Like, usually if someone's, like, that toxic, then they're just gonna do it again. There's a famous guy, Francisco, who was like that for years. Where we kept giving this guy more and more chances, and everyone was telling me to ban him for months. Probably even years, some people. And, you know, he was just kind of harassing some other people in the chat, and he would just say some off-color stuff a lot. And, you know... But he was here every night. He was trying to contribute. I don't think his intent most of the time was to be mean. He just didn't really think about, like, how other people would interpret what he said. And we kept giving him warnings and chances, and he just, like, he would be alright for a while, but then eventually he would just, he would just go over the line again. And so eventually we had to permaban him.
I decide what the tide will bring.
So, yeah, I mean, something like that. It's not like the guy, like, it's not like he's wanting to stay around. Like, when you start saying stuff like that, you're trying to get banned. If it was like, oops, I used a banned word, I didn't mean to, you know, or whatever, oops, you know, whatever, I talked about anything on the, I'm American. Yeah, but you can't say it, like, if you can't say it to me, you can't say it to other people in the chat, too. I mean, Stefan was just trying to help. Like, the appropriate response is saying something like, that's not what I meant, or, you know, don't ban me. I meant, like, clarifying the situation is the appropriate response. Or even saying something like, shut up, I wasn't talking to you, which is, like, aggressive and mean, but that's warnable, you know? That's like, hey, man, like, you can't talk to people like that here, you know? That's like something we could, like, warn them about or talk about, or, you know. What's the Skarner lately? I don't know. Maybe someone streamed his... Maybe it's the same guy. I don't know. I didn't look people up on this one. I probably should have. And of course they got Lucian. They do have kind of a troll support. Well, they have an actual literal troll as support. I didn't mean that pun, but like they have a support that's not probably going to be that strong. So. But yeah, I mean, if someone like really wants to get unbanned, they can email me. Which reminds me, there is one guy that emailed me recently that wants to get unbanned that I forgot to unban that we could give a chance to. There are some people that we've banned or warned that have, you know, changed. So, you know, it does happen. It doesn't happen as much as you would think. Like, our standards of conduct are just higher than most other streams, I think. We try to keep a cool, chill community. Liked losing. It just depends. I mean, the thing is, like, joking and sarcasm are sometimes tough, especially when, if someone's on a loss streak or whatever. So, you know, if, like, a streamer's on a loss streak, I get a little crankier too if I've lost like 10 games in a row and someone is like comes in and the first thing they say is, "Wow, you're bad, LOL." And like even if they're just joking, like maybe they meant that as like I did well in that game and everyone else underperformed, and they're just trying to say like jokingly you're bad or whatever, unless it's like a wink or something that's like really obvious that it's like a joke. Even then it's kind of like it's just really hard to interpret sarcasm, especially if someone's like having a bad day. Alright, so let's see if we can get this win here and then call it a night.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Ew, whale breath.
30 seconds.
Well, it's not like Dick streamers, they own their stream. It's their property. You know, there is no like freedom of speech issues in that because it's not a public space. It's a private space, sort of. It's in this weird kind of limbo. But like dictators are considered bad because they are ruling over people that don't have a choice most of the time. You know, if it's a dictator in, you know, insert random country, Mongolia or something, then the reason that's bad is because like those people don't have a choice. You know, whatever he says or does goes, and there's no other options. With streaming, you know, there are tons of options. You can go watch other streams, you can go act however you want, you can make your own stream. It's like, it's more akin, instead of a dictator, it's more akin to like owning a restaurant. You know, if someone's coming in and acting in a way that you don't approve of in the restaurant, you can kick them out. You know, if they're disrupting your customers or they're disrupting your own peace of mind or something, you can kick them out, and it's fully within your rights to do that. Yeah, it's not like people aren't automatically entitled to be able to say or do whatever they want in your restaurant, to an extent. So yeah, I mean, some can be a little, like, potentially too harsh, you know, with how they act, but it's like their house or their lawn, you know? If a bunch of kids are coming around, like, well, I guess that gets kind of complicated, but like if you have a bunch of bouncers that are like watching your yard, if you can kick people out of your yard, and there's people that are like walking around letting their dog poop in your yard, or like the kids are like running around like throwing baseballs through your windows or something, like if you had the ability to make them leave your yard, you could do that. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much what Fab said. A lot of people get confused about freedom of speech, and, like, there are limits to freedom of speech, too, even by governments. You know, like, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater or office building or something. You can't, like, call in bomb threats. You can't cuss out a cop and expect not to get something, like disorderly conduct at least, or something, you know. Like, there are always limits, but especially when it's not a federal entity, when it's a private organization. This Lulu's really, or this Lucian's not really trying to pressure us. I need to try to pressure him some more. It's hard to do it with Triss, because she just doesn't do a lot early. If you get ahead, like, she can all in. She can jump in and kill people, but... Anyways. So, you know, I try. Obviously, I don't think it's a good thing to be too overly, censorship type of stuff. You know, I try to let people explain their position, but at the same time, like... It just depends on the environment that you want to create. You know, if you allow, like... racists to start chatting in your chat, or people that are making fun of disabled people or things like that, like, people that aren't cool with that aren't going to be in your chat. And it's like, do I want a chat full of racists, or do I want a chat full of, like, really cool people that aren't down with racists, you know, that type of thing. So it can get complicated, but the way that you manage your community is extremely important as any sort of business owner or content creator. Do I think that Triss is good? Triss is not that great right now just because her range is so low and she's so susceptible to poke early. She's pretty good in all-in situations. She's okay. Like, she's not terrible. I think I had her at, like, tier 3. If they nerfed Lucian, like, if they nerfed the top champs, like Lucian, Jhin, and, like, Miss Fortune, she just doesn't do enough, like, ranged harass early. But she does take towers very well, like you mentioned, so I think there's definitely a, an argument to be made for her. If she still had 550 range, yes. But once they lowered that range to 525, it's a lot rougher. I think she's better than she has been in a while, but I think she still just doesn't have enough early game power to match some of the others. Triss has a far range at the end of the game. Early on, she starts off really low at 525. But yeah, later on, she does get more as the game goes on, but the problem is it's such an early game meta right now that she doesn't. So she gets extra range per level. Okay, now we've got an advantage. We can maybe bully out this Lucian a little bit. You gotta be a little careful with Skarner. No, I mean, obviously there are limits, Wings. I don't think that people should be, like, drawn and quartered because they say something racist. Okay, Skarner's not here, but he's in our jungle. Whoa, why are we not fighting? I'm so confused. Why didn't he fully commit earlier? I would have ignited if I would have known he was going to do something.
An enemy has been slain.
Okay. Oh. What is this? I mean, Triss has had, like, all day alone with that tower down there, though. I'll take that. You know, free speech is complicated. I think, like, the toughest issue with free speech is, do you allow people that have dissenting views that are, like, logical and are attempting to be rational and reasonable? Do you allow them to have a voice, even if you disagree, if it's a potentially dangerous idea? Like, that's something that is tough. Like, people that think there's an Illuminati or, like, a deep state, do you allow them to voice that kind of stuff? That could be very dangerous. if they have a reason to believe there's some kind of, like, secret government conspiracy going on, or, like, that climate change doesn't exist or something like that, should those people be... It's very dangerous, potentially, for people to say that, like, climate change doesn't exist if everyone's gonna die in 100 years because of that, so... But at the same time, like, you want to allow people to debate those ideas in an open forum. So that's... Because if you don't debate them, then you're never gonna be able to change people's minds. So that's where it's tough. But at the same time, if you allow them to spread misinformation, it could convert other people over to dangerous ideas. So it's tough sometimes to figure out how to draw that line. And then it gets even more difficult because private companies own the information. So it's like, does Google have an obligation to allow people that have these kind of minority views to exist on their platform when they're taking so much heat from advertisers because of it? So it gets very, very complicated. Why do you think they wanted to force mages and bruisers bot lane? Because the bot lane meta is very stale and always has been the most stale. It's the least diverse role. There's almost always, like in any meta, like 380 carries that are good and everyone else is bad. And so they were trying to add diversity. And because people were complaining, like, the previous year, like, all they did was complain about the Ardent Sensor meta and crit 80 carries being too strong in 2017. And so they wanted to change that. So that's why they switched it up. Is they said they wanted more diversity in the bot lane. And so they got it. And I thought that meta was actually kind of cool. But it just rattled too many people that like to play 80 carries. Yeah, it's tough. I've heard that. Yeah, I don't know. I saw an advertisement from YouTube actually trying to tell people to stand up against that. Information's very complicated these days and how it gets processed and who's responsible for it. I'm gonna wait on Ardent Sensor here. Free speech is non-existent. It depends on what people mean by free. I mean, you could make an argument that freedom's non-existent, depending on how you're defining freedom. There are always limits. Freedom's just an idea. It's not ever going to be fully realized. I mean, at the very core, because you're bound to a physical body, at least on Earth, depending on whatever your metaphysical beliefs are, and that's going to limit what you can do and what you can think to some extent, because you live in a biological body that has limitations. So yeah, to that extent, sure, there's no complete freedom. You can't fly, you know. Not everyone can think like Einstein, no matter how much you teach them. Some of it is biological. That is going to create discrepancies in ability in society, which is going to create inequality. So yeah, to that extent, there is no such thing as freedom. But I think what people typically mean is like rights to an extent. That gets complicated too, but just that like everyone should be able to pursue, you know, life, liberty, happiness, that stuff. So if they didn't nerf mages during that time, yeah, I like the mid-season shakeup. A lot of people were obviously very mad about it. It's hard to tell because yeah, a lot of people left League at that time, but it's also because of Fortnite, so it's hard to tell how much of that was because of the 80 carry changes and how much of it were because of the League changes. Obviously, people like Pokimane left, and that had nothing to do with 80 carry. You know, that was just, she saw a business opportunity to go for Fortnite, and that's what she did, and it was a good business move for her. You know, great community of young boys, you know, attractive, funny girl streamer, of course. I mean, she was a good League player, too. Yeah, I mean, I think that you could definitely, like... She's the kind of content creator that could benefit a lot from... I think Tyr got nerfed a little bit earlier. We don't violate someone else's freedom. It depends, because the thing is, like, anytime you're in a society, you're necessarily conceding some of your freedoms. Like, in order to participate in society, kind of the social contract of society, which I forgot. I think that was Locke. It was Hobbes, maybe, who had that. I can't remember my 17th century philosophers right now, but... you know, you have a social contract with people. You're agreeing, hey, I'm not going to go murder people indiscriminately, or hey, I'm not going to, like, go over and steal all my neighbor's stuff. And that's, like, the price of contributing in a society. And by exchange, you have assurances that other people won't be able to do that either without consequences. So you're giving up some of your freedom to have more stability. But the degree to which you give up freedom for stability is a huge question mark, right? Because... now it's like, well, is it okay to give up all of our privacy so that the, you know, federal government can keep us safe? You know, is that worth? So it's always kind of a delicate balance between freedom and stability. She was mid-diamond. Not that it matters that much, but yeah, she was a diamond player. She's good. Anyways, I love talking about, you know, the fun theoretical stuff on stream, but I gotta go grade some essays. I'm already gonna be pushed for time. Abyssal Mask did get mutilated. I don't know about... I think Tyr is still, like, viable. Tyr probably needed to be turned down a little bit. I can't remember. I mean, the big thing was they nerfed a lot of the wave clear on certain, like, champs. I don't know. I can't remember everything they changed back then. I think, like, honestly, once they... the good news is the stream worked, though. Ever since I talked to my ISP, they reset it. Hopefully it'll keep working. Hey, thanks, Celaguara. But yeah, I gotta go finish. But we'll be back tomorrow. I might be a little late because I might have to sleep in because I'm going to stay up all night, and then I'm going to have to teach and then come home. So I may not get to go to sleep until, like, 7 p.m. So it might be a late start, just a heads up. I might start at like 10 or 11 p.m. or something like that. Yeah, we can continue the debate tomorrow if people want. It's not really a debate, it's just like a discussion, I think. Nami more damage than me. Okay. I didn't even notice that he left. Yeah, thanks, Fab. It was a good discussion. Thank you. It's always fun having a nice discussion. Wow, I did, yeah, I did more damage than Hecarim. But, I mean, that was basically just, like, Ori crushing people in lane and then Aatrox. Yeah, it's... I mean, it's a very difficult term. Freedom. Lots of philosophers. I mean, there are probably thousands of years of philosophers thinking about what that means in all sorts of senses, both in sort of a theological sense, in terms of a political or governmental sense. I'm sure since the dawn of time, and, like, at least the dawn of human civilization, people have had that question. You know, how much do we obey the rulers and these rules, and how much do we, like, how much are we able to do our own thing? Yeah. That's true. Yeah, junglers really aren't going to do as much early on, probably. I did get a lot of poke damage early in lane, too. It just kind of looks silly on an enchanter, but Nami does put up pretty decent damage early. Anyways, that's going to be it. Thank y'all very much. As always, I really appreciate it. Looks like, hopefully, we'll see. Hopefully, we got the stream fixed. So, we'll be back tomorrow. Like I said, I might be a little late. But then after that, I should be done with most of my grading, and we should be able to, come up with more content and just keep the streams going. Make sure we have our sort of regular times, and then I'll start doing more guides again and all that kind of good stuff. I might try out some other stuff, like getting some more art assets on the channel, some more custom emotes, and then I may try to dual stream on Twitch. We'll try to get a lot of, and see if I can get some video editing finally, so I can do like shorter videos with like more graphics and stuff. So we'll be working on some new stuff over the winter once school is out, but got to grade those papers tonight. Anyways, thank y'all very much. Hope to see you tomorrow, and have a good day.